What is up, everybody? My name is Sammy Dunn. If you guys are brand new here, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below. So today, I'm going to be doing 4 creepy, scary story camp horror stories. Let's get this video rolling now.
I was a summer camp counselor in New York State the summer I turned 18. It was there that I realized I couldn't stand kids, mostly because of this encounter. I was in charge of the girls aged 11 to 14. They were difficult at the best of times, but one girl in particular was impossible to deal with. She was 12 and very quiet, withdrawn from the other kids, and never wanted to listen to anyone. One day I took the girls back to the cabin after lunch for quiet time, and she asked to go outside. One of the other counselors volunteered to go out with her, and anyone else who wanted to go, because she knew I needed a nap. So they went and I caught some shut-eye. I was awoken about 15 minutes later by the counselor, who was frantic. Katie wasn't to be found. Could I help her look? I sent 2 campers to the office to tell the director that there needed to be a lost campers alert, and we went to find Katie. Our cabin was right at the edge of the woods that covered a rather sizable hill, and I hiked the hell out of that thing, yelling for Katie, threatening and pleading. I eventually found her sitting on a rock, and in her hand was the biggest knife I have ever seen.
What?
I calmly asked for it, and she shook her head. "I need my tools," she said firmly. I sat down next to her, keeping my eye on the knife, and I tried to have a conversation with her about her tools. She confided in me that she took this knife from her dad's hunting gear and hid it here during a night hike, and that she planned to hurt the people here that she didn't like. It was chilling to listen to her. Her voice was very calm. Her expression never changed. I asked her which people she didn't like, and she named a few campers, then looked me dead in the eyes and said, "And you're always trying to talk to me. I don't like talking to you. I want you to shut up. I'm gonna make you shut up." I was almost shitting myself at this point. I don't know how, but I managed to grab her wrist that was holding the knife and held it above her head. I yelled for the camp director who was searching the woods with a couple of other counselors, as per regulation. She rushed over and saw me manhandling this kid who was biting the hell out of my arm, trying to get me to let her go. I still have the scars from those bites. It was like a snake lashing out at someone. She broke skin and my arm was seriously bloody. We called the cops, who called the parents, and Katie was taken away. The director told me some months later that Katie was in a psych ward after threatening to bomb her school and was never allowed back to our camp. This came with a job offer, but I sure as hell wasn't going back. This happened to me a couple years ago. I was 10 years old and in grade 5. My class went to summer camp for 2 nights. I started on the first night. My friends and I were talking and telling stories when I noticed that there was some writing on my bunk. Someone had written a story in pencil. I read it over and then called everyone over to look. I don't remember the exact wording, but it went something like this. "One night, a bunch of us decided to sneak out of our cabin into the mess hall. The sky was completely clear. We snuck in and started messing around, chasing each other and jumping on tables. Suddenly, there was a flash of light and a crack of thunder. The sky was still clear. We freaked out and ran back to our cabin. A few of the girls thought it was nothing, but me and a couple others had this strange feeling that it was true. Suddenly, we didn't feel safe in our own cabin anymore. Anyway, we went to sleep, and sometime in the middle of the night, the ones who believed the story, me including, all woke up and there was a flash of light and a crack of thunder, same as the story. We all fell back asleep almost instantly. When I woke up the next morning, I thought that it was just a dream. But then my friend asked about it. She had seen and heard it too, and so had the others who believed. Now we were really scared. The only thing was, there had been no thunder and lightning the night before. It was just us. The day went on pretty normal, and then that night, something even stranger happened. A bunch of the girls were looking out the window, not me at the time, when suddenly they started freaking out and telling the others to come look. I rushed to the window, and what I saw was impossible. There was a little girl, about 4 years old, skipping through the forest, wearing a white wedding dress. When she went behind the tree, she didn't come out the other side. She just disappeared. The other girls said she stopped and waved at them before skipping away. We went out to find her, but she was completely gone. No one else believed us, but we all know what we saw. That story was true, and that little girl was real. Or at least, she used to be. I think she was a ghost. None of us have seen her since, but none of us can forget those nights. This happened to me when I was 15 or 16. I'm currently 22, so a couple of details may be fuzzy, but what we found in the clearing is still very vivid in my mind. At that age, my parents still shipped me off to summer camp, where a small group of guys led by 2 guides would take month-long trips by canoe into the wilderness. This particular trip was through the Blood Vein River system that leads from northern Ontario to Lake Winnipeg in Manitoba. A fair amount of creepy stuff happened on this trip, such as strange trappers' cottages and the like. But the event that stands out is the evening we took the wrong portage trail. It had already been a long day. We were about to start losing daylight, so everyone was pretty anxious to make camp and get some rest. We spotted a small game trail that seemed to be the right one, so we started down it without checking the map, since we were tired and hungry and just wanted some dinner. It's at this point in the story I should mention that we were very far from any road. So far, in fact, that we were told that the only way to get to this part of the route was by canoe, kayak, or float plane. A couple kilometers down the trail, it opened up into a small clearing. Right away, we were caught off guard by a school bus sitting in the dead center of this field. Even at this distance, we could see the windows were broken, and all the tires seemed to be flat. The closer we got, the more we noticed, like the fact that there were burn marks around the edges of the windows, and that the doors were barred shut from the outside with steel rebar. The guides told us not to go any closer and went to investigate further. After a couple of minutes, they came back and very blankly told us that we found the wrong trail and that we needed to head back as quickly as possible. Of course, being a group of teenage boys, we immediately ignored them and ran up to check this bus out. I wish I hadn't, because up to this point, things had just been kind of odd. But when we looked in the door, things got downright creepy. The floor of the school bus was littered all over with toddler-sized shoes. Needless to say, we got the hell out of there and put as much distance between us and the clearing before the sun went down. I don't know what happened in that bus or how we got somewhere that should have been impossible, nor do I want to. When I was 10 years old, my parents sent me to a summer camp in a village in Spain. We were about 30 kids, all between 10 and 13 years old, with 6 camp workers all in their 20s. We were staying in a relatively big house, which probably used to be a small boarding school or an orphanage of some sort. From the first week I arrived, I already started hearing stories about the attic and how the ghost of a kid who used to come to that summer camp haunted it. I don't remember this story very well, but the kids would say that the squeaking of the wood you could hear at night was caused by the ghost of the dead boy moving around the attic. However, at that age, I already knew ghosts didn't exist, and the squeaking was probably from the wind, so I wasn't particularly scared by the story. One day, however, I was talking with another girl about the ghost from the attic. A female camp worker was also around, so we asked her what she thought of the story. She didn't want to answer at first, but when we kept insisting, she got unexpectedly upset.
Don't talk about that stuff, seriously, it's not funny.
She left looking annoyed, and another worker went to talk to her. Since I thought all of this was pretty weird, I later went to ask another worker about why she'd gotten upset. At first, he didn't want to talk about it, but I insisted because I could tell there was something he was hiding from me. Finally, he said,
All right, I'll tell you, but you have to swear you won't tell the other kids.
I promised not to, and he went on to tell me this story. A couple of weeks before the camp started, the 6 workers had been taken to visit the house where we would be staying. They were shown around so that they would know where everything was. Soon after the visit started, they heard the wood squeaking from upstairs. The girls in the group were a bit freaked out, but they all continued the visit. Later on, after visiting all the other rooms, they decided to go up to the attic. Here's where it gets weird. There was a bunch of covers on the floor, leftovers of food, and on the dusty floor, you could see some human footprints. Basically, it looked like someone had been living there. I immediately regretted asking about it, and then had trouble sleeping for the rest of the camp.
So guys, if you love this video, please give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe, and comment down below. Make sure you guys share all my videos and leave a friendly comment down below. Thank you guys for watching. Have a nice day, guys. Bye.